Hello, my friends, and welcome to the week of the Royal Rumble, which we must enjoy as much as we possibly can, as it comes but once a year, and really, it is one of the best damn events in all of wrestling. And therefore, like the nerds we are, we do have to try and predict this thing, so I have 10 names on my phone right here, which you can't see, who I believe are the favourites to win the Royal Rumble. If you're number 10, you're the least favourite, and if you're number 1, you are the favourite, although we are going to tinker with it a little bit. I wanted to make sure we got the men's and the women's in there, but really, when it comes to the women's Royal Rumble, I think it's way more obvious than the men's, but it doesn't mean we can't give it a guess. So it is just going to be 10 to 1, and the first ones will be the women's ones. So we start with number 10, and look, this is absolutely something that WWE could do, and I'm all for somebody debuting and going right to the top of the card. If you're going to push someone, you're going to push someone. So in at number 10 is Jade flipping Cargill. Now, don't call her Jade flipping Cargill, especially because we have Seth frickin' Rollins, and we get way too confusing. But ever since she, joined WWE a few months ago, we haven't seen much of her. People like to be right asses. And being like, it's because she wasn't very good and she's gone to the training center. Maybe WWE just wanted her to get better at certain things, or maybe they plan to hold her off anyway. She clearly is a talent. That's why you know who she is. She's got to the tippity top. But yes, if all of a sudden she came out from nowhere, be it number 1 or number 15 or a number 30, and won the Royal Rumble, for starters, you're justifying all that money that you spent on her, and you're putting her in the right position, but you're also telling every single person in the WWE universe who may not be familiar with her, we are treating this person like a big deal. Really would like it if you did too. And if she does go on to main event WrestleMania against anybody that you could put her in there with, I think that would rock. Now, the only reason I don't think this is going to happen is I think we should keep this WrestleMania nice and simple. So one of the people that does need an opponent right now is Bianca Belair. If Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moné is going to AEW, do Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair, because I tell you that match will be pure fire. Which brings us to number 9. And now at one point, I don't even think I would have had this person in this list, but things have changed over the last few weeks. So I'm going with Bayley. Now, she may even be the favorite when it comes to the Women's Royal Rumble, but again, I'm kind of going for the more obvious choices in this daft video. But given that she does have this really interesting story with Damage Control right now, as they're trying to shoo her away, if all of a sudden she did win the Royal Rumble, the coolest payoff is that the match at WrestleMania would be Io Sky versus Bayley. Bayley wins. Bayley finally gets her big moment, which she has deserved for ages now, and it tells a wonderful story to kids and children, everybody out there. No, you don't screw over your friends, because they'll come back and they'll kick you in the butt. We also have a couple of months to build this, so it'd be absolutely superb. So really, in terms of what I would like to happen at the Royal Rumble, this would be right up there. And again, it's not something that was on my radar until recently. I just thought there'd be another way that you could do it. I mean, if the Royal Rumble is sewn up and then all of a sudden Damage Control do turn on Bayley, it stands to reason that story would take you through to WrestleMania otherwise. But I tell you, what makes the story better? Bayley winning the Royal Rumble. Because genuinely, in terms of people that are undervalued, not by WWE, but maybe just in the grand wrestling space, it is Bayley. She's never bad. She's always been good. And do you remember when she turned heel? Oh, she'll never be able to be a heel. Oh yeah? Well, she's done pretty damn well. And in number 8, which means it's number 1 for the Women's Royal Rumble when it comes to my predictions and the favorites, I think you got to go with Becky Lynch. Now, there is something you can do in the sense that Nia Jax could actually throw Becky out and be like, haha, I keep baiting you. And then when we get to Australia at the Elimination Chamber, you could do Nia Jax versus Rhea Ripley for the championship, which they've also been teasing. And then in the Elimination Chamber, Becky Lynch can also win the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble can also win that and then go on to WrestleMania. Then you're keeping Rhea Ripley busy and you're giving her a big match in Australia, which is where she's from. That's going to be super cool. She's on the poster. It's very, very exciting stuff. Now, the issue I have is now that I've said all that out loud, I'd like to switch Becky Lynch and Bayley, but I'm not going to be able to do it. But I do think at least one point during the last couple of months, WWE or Triple H or whoever had probably had Becky down as the chosen one. But yeah, the story I've mapped out is far better if Bayley wins. But look, I've said it now. So I'm going to say that Becky Lynch is going to win the Royal Rumble, mostly because at WrestleMania 40, you have to do Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. That has made sense for a good old while now, but even more so because on Raw last week, we did do their big face-off and the fans were into this, and the internet were into this, so it is ticking lots of boxes. And I tell you, you could even pull a fast one there. Becky seems so intent, because she's awesome, on getting the next generation over. You could get to WrestleMania and Becky Lynch loses and Rhea Ripley wins, and while I'd be fine with Lynch getting the victory too, that would turn Rhea Ripley into such a monster. I say watch this space. Don't tap the table, it's annoying. Which brings us to the Men Rules Rumble, which we'll do 7 through to number 1. Now, it's really when we get to the top 5, as I look down here, where things really get interesting. Number 7 and 6, I do think tie into what could be a bigger storyline. So yes, at number 7 is LA Knight. Now, I don't think this is going to happen. I think this is an outside bet, an outside shot. And of course, he is involved in the main event title picture because he is so over and he sells so much merchandise, and because there is a sizable portion of the audience that is desperate for this to happen. Maybe WWE does want to pull a little bit of a fast one. I mean, it would be crazy crazy given the other individuals that are involved. But if he does get screwed out of his Roman Reigns championship shot for a second time, because again, he keeps talking about the fact he wants to be the guy to take down the bloodline, because they did wreck it in Saudi Arabia, then you could have him, again, get screwed in that match, comes out and he wins the Royal Rumble, and instantly he is going to be even more so a megastar. But I wouldn't hold your hopes out for this. I would imagine he's probably fighting for the US title at WrestleMania, but that's okay too. The LA Knight experiment must continue, and that happens with championships and wins and being in focal points, which he is. Again, he is in the world title match at the Royal Rumble, but we'll have to wait and see. But would I put my money on this? No. And so for number 6, I mean, it's exactly the same as what I did just say. Yeah, you could give it to Randy Orton. So once again, he gets dicked around by the bloodlines and he decides, I'm going to enter the Royal Rumble. And we have deliberately held off the Roman Reigns Randy Orton singles match because apparently WWE management were like, well, there's money in this. Why are we giving it away so early? And also, Orton shouldn't be losing right now because he does come across like a proper top star. But I don't think you want to do that at WrestleMania, although I suppose the intrigue does come in the form of, well, who does Randy Orton fight at WrestleMania? I mean, it's not going to be a Cody Rhodes, or it could be, I suppose. I actually think LA Knight and AJ Styles are going to head in that direction, although I suppose you could do Logan Paul versus LA Knight at WrestleMania, and then you could do AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. I'm sure we've done that match before, but I can't remember now. And that could be something that Randy is very interested in because, you know, coming back from injury, he wants to work with someone that can make him look like $1 million. That's AJ Styles. Remember that Seth Rollins match back at Mania 31? That was pure fire. So maybe Orton wants to do something like that, but I don't think he needs to win the Royal Rumble. I think he can, like I say, be absolutely cheated out of a win in the World Championship match, and then he gets into whichever program he wants to get into, maybe even with AJ Styles, when LA Knight spins off into something else. But again, if you want to waste your money, go for Randy Orton, otherwise don't. Which brings us to number 5, which is Gunther. Now, he is the Intercontinental Champion, but I love the fact that he's entering into the Royal Rumble because he sold me on this on Raw. He's like, yeah, last time I was this close to winning, so why wouldn't I enter that thing? Because not only do I want this championship, I want another one too. Damn right. But it's just not the right time, and it doesn't make sense, especially because there's a way bigger match in terms of what we all want at WrestleMania 40, which is Gunther versus Brock Lesnar, right? That is what we all want. And if Brock Lesnar is a surprise return in the Royal Rumble, and he gets into it with Gunther, even for like 32 seconds, everyone's going to go crazy. We're going to whet the appetite for that contest. Brock can throw Gunther out or vice versa, doesn't matter, and then you just build to that match, which very well could be the ultimate big men slapping man meat. I also think there's going to be an opportunity to have Gunther win the Rumble maybe next year or the year after that, just because of the favorite that we'll get to in just 1 second. And he can lose that Intercontinental Championship first. As long as he keeps that belt around his shoulders, which I think he probably will do until WrestleMania, he comes across as a big deal. He's in a wonderful space. He's only going to grow. He's only going to go evolve. So, look, if he did pull the trigger this early, I don't think it's going to hurt him. Of course it wouldn't. It would absolutely help. But you can play the long game with Gunther. His style is not safe as such, but he's going to have a very, very long career. So there's an outside chance. And I think when he's in there, he's going to be eliminating everybody and he's going to have pure momentum behind him. He ain't getting no nod from me. And number 4 is the ace in the hole. It's Drew McIntyre. Because I cannot figure out what Drew McIntyre is going to do at WrestleMania unless Sami Zayn also makes a surprise return at the Rumble. And he has been off TV for a good month or so now. They can get into it. Sami throws Drew out. And that is a pretty good feud going into WrestleMania. 1, they're going to have a good match. 2, it does tie into the story that we have been telling. And 3, if Sami Zayn does beat Drew McIntyre, Drew has been on such a tear recently, it's going to feel like a massive deal for Sami. And while this is going to pain everyone to say it, if you do indeed want to give Drew McIntyre a big win as he does go back into the main event scene, he can beat Sami Zayn. Now look, I love Sami Zayn. He's much like a Bayley. I think he's undervalued and I think he's underrated. But WWE has proven time and time again, they ain't got no problem with beating Sami Zayn. Now a lot of this, of course, is going to depend on what happens with Seth Rollins' injury. Like, I really hope he is going to be okay and he is going to do that WrestleMania match. But if he isn't able to, I think Drew McIntyre should be his surrogate and you do Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk at WrestleMania instead. But again, I have a feeling that by hook or by crook, Seth will be able to get to Mania. So Drew McIntyre stays at 4. Which brings us to number 3. I could call it an outside bet, but that makes no sense when it comes to this. But once more, we're looking at wrestling narratives here. You got to put a shout in for The Rock. And this is twofold. 1, if he is going to be involved in the main event and you want a massive pop from the crowd, this is absolutely something you can do. But also, as Dave Meltzer has reported a few times, he seems pretty damn assured that this was the case. Last year, the plan was written down if they could get one Dwayne Johnson, he was going to be the surprise entrant in the Rumble at number 30. He was going to win, and then he would have taken on Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. Now, that didn't happen, but you'd have to figure that it would have been brought up again. Now, if I was The Rock, I'd be like, no way do I want to do that, because you run the risk of annoying quite a large contingent of the fan base, or at least the vocal one. But there's the counterpoint to that. Millions, ironically, and millions of people are also going to lose their damn minds. It'd be one of those moments we talk about for a long-ass time. It also means you can end the Royal Rumble with The Rock looking at Roman Reigns and Roman Reigns looking at The Rock, so everybody is going to get pumped for WrestleMania 40. And I think there is a higher percentage of this happening than maybe I did even a few days ago. I don't even know what I mean by that. I'm just going with the feeling in my tum-tum, which is starting to go, starting to get warm and fuzzy. But if it's not one of the top two, which it really should be, by the way, and The Rock agrees to go to whatever the hell the Royal Rumble is, I can't remember, you should probably do it, right? Again, you want mainstream headlines. This is going to do it. And you do set up WrestleMania a good 2 months out, which is always a good thing. So I'd watch this one. Maybe about to happen. And then number 2 is Cody Rhodes. Of course, you could put him at number 1, but I just have a feeling that WWE isn't exactly sure what they are going to do with Roman Reigns. Where it comes to the World Heavyweight Championship, they've got it down. So if you are still trying to plan that out, I would say let's keep everything in motion. Because I really do want Cody Rhodes to be in that Night 2 WrestleMania main event against Roman Reigns. I want him to beat Roman Reigns. I want that Raw after WrestleMania 40 to have Cody Rhodes as our super duper universal 9,000 champion. But The Rock has come into play, and I totally understand why you don't say no to The Rock. That would be absolutely absurd. But what you can do is Cody gets so close here, and then he is eliminated by somebody, maybe even The Rock, I don't know. And you can do the 3-way at WrestleMania 40. The more I've thought about this, I don't see the reason not to do it as long as everybody involved wants to do it. Because Roman Reigns has to get beaten. That's not the reason you do the triple threat, right? Roman Reigns cannot hold the belt for 1,500 days, whatever it is, and then lose it on a whim. That'd be absolutely ridiculous, and that is a bit insulting to the audience. But maybe The Rock, I don't know what kind of headspace he lives in. Maybe he doesn't want to lose. Maybe he doesn't think that's good for the more casual fan that takes wrestling a little bit differently. So he would like an asterisk in there. And if Cody is going to win, he needs to beat Roman Reigns. So you have The Rock in your main event. If anything, he's just kind of there to, send everybody crazy, which he will do. And it would be great to see him, and it would be his last match, his retirement match. But Cody still gets that pin over Roman Reigns, which is all that matters. And if you really want an out and to protect Roman as much as possible, he gets hit with the rock bottom, he gets hit with the people's elbow. Cody comes here, he throws him out. He hits the Cody cutter, he hits the crossroads, pins Roman 1, 2, 3. So essentially, it took 2 men to beat him and 4 finishes. But again, and I don't like to be disparaging to anybody because, I've been a wrestler. I know how hard it is to get your cardio up. The Rock may be like, well, I can't get in super duper shape because I'm the busiest man ever. So if I do a 3-way, that just takes the pressure off me a little bit, and that is smart because it doesn't matter what he does in that match. He is The Rock. He could be in a 10-way. He is still going to be the most talked about thing in it. But if you want to make sure you put your best foot forward, why not throw some bells and whistles in there? Why not do a triple threat match? Especially because at 10, there was some nonsense with Lex Luger and Bret Hart. We know they deal with 20. We know we deal with 30. Maybe when we get to our 10-year slots, or whatever you want to call it, you do triple threat matches. I mean, why not? We've got other stupid additions. Why not this one? But that could be why it's a good idea for Cody to win it as well, because The Rock kind of just sticks his oar in. However, he's going to do that. But ultimately, we get to number 1. You already know who it is because they would have been on this list somewhere. It is CM Punk. I just think that the fans are going to pop for that. I think the fans are going to be super duper excited for that. And also, he's a character. If you do go down to CM Punk and Cody Rhodes as the final 2, he can throw out Cody and it will not affect him at all. Even if you are a super duper American Nightmare fan, CM Punk has that aura to him, right? He has that edge. He has that attitude. Of course he'd do this. If you didn't see it coming, you've never watched CM Punk. It's one of the reasons he is such an anomaly because he can kind of operate in all these different spaces and still be the most beloved man ever. It also sets up CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, and that means we can do 8 to 12 weeks of juicy build of them just going at it in promos, which will be doubly helpful now, because if Seth Rollins does need to get over this knee injury, he's going to need time to heal. I'm sure he'll be able to fly into Raw to do promos, etc., but he's not going to have a match. So it's another reason to make sure CM Punk wins, because sometimes on Raw, if Seth isn't able to make it, Punk can go to the ring, talk, amazing, internet and the wider world gets all excited, and as soon as they do announce this, you just know people are going to pop their socks off. 1, how the flub is this even happening? And 2, it's 2 people that have been very vocal about wanting to main event WrestleMania, and now they're going to get that chance, which also ties into the story. And now the comments go, but it's night 1 of Mania. That doesn't count as a main event. That's like saying you're eating a pizza, but you're not eating cheese on toast. Yes, you are. So there you go. There's my top 10. Jade Cargill, Bayley, Becky Lynch, LA Knight, Randy Orton, Gunther, Drew McIntyre, The Rock, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk. And if I was going to part with some of my finances, which I may do, you can do it over here in the UK, which sounds kind of crazy, I would be going with CM Punk, but I do think on paper, the whole show has the potential to be one of the best Royal Rumbles ever, and that's what I'm all about. I love it when wrestling smashes it out the park. They're going to have over 50,000 people here, so they do have some surprises. One of which is The Rock. Man, this is going to be totally cool. Now, please, of course, make sure you engage with the video as much as you can. Like, share, subscribe, comment, etc. Click the notification bell, click the video on the screen because YouTube loves that the most. Then it is GorillaMind.com/Simon. Just go to Simon to get 10% off. Patreon.com/Simon316 if you want to support me that way. Instagram and Twitter is Simon316. Simon J. Miller on TikTok. Simon Miller on Cameo. And t-shirts. Please go and buy a t-shirt today. I'd massively appreciate it. Especially the 1-2-oo tee. because it makes me laugh. Otherwise, use these next few days to get pumped for the Royal Rumble, and of course, I'll be upping those downs over on What Culture for the event on Sunday morning. I'll also be appearing on Progress Wrestling that day if you are around in London, although I think tickets are going quite well, I believe, so you may want to jump on that, because I'm going to cut my big promo about my future, and who knows what it's going to be. I know. Progress Management knows, and soon you'll know too. Goodbye.